Hey yo, what's up? Today we got another video, an interesting one. The first one on the channel by the homie North O2. The Atlatl, humanity's first super weapon. Now, I don't know about super weapon because I saw a little bit of it and it looks kind of simple, but I guess for the scale of the time period, power scaling wise, yeah, it's probably a super weapon. But we're gonna get into it, what it is. If you already know, let's see. Okay, go ahead and like the video and let's get into it. Yeah.
Look at yourself. No claws, no piercing canines. Yet our species
I
conquered
don't
the
know.
world.
Looking kind of sharp.
But how did fragile primates outcompete predators built to kill? Well, we did it at a distance.
With knowledge.
Our ancestors came up with a simple but ingenious weapon that changed human history. A stick that throws another stick. It's called the spear thrower, or the atlatl. The idea is simple. A long dart is hooked onto the end of a lever, adding leverage to your arm, multiplying the force and sending the dart flying at incredible speeds.
Dang.
For tens of thousands of years,
That's like
it
a
defined
primitive
the hunt,
bow.
and with it we brought down bison, bears, and even mammoths. And we did it all from a safe distance. For the first time in history, nothing on
The
Earth was
first
beyond our reach.
projectile.
Today we're going to be breaking down the history of this weapon,
Or the
and then
first
we're
better
going to put it to the
projectile.
test.
First, we need to talk about what life was like before this tool. Ancient humans primarily killed their prey with thrusting spears. When tipped with a stone point, these weapons were devastating, capable of killing massive animals with a single well-placed thrust. But this also meant they had to be up close and personal with extremely dangerous animals. Throwing spears or
That was the
javelins
kicker. That
would
was
have been a
the
bit safer.
risking it.
And we know that by 300,000 years ago, the ancestors of Neanderthals in Germany were using throwing spears. But even if this technology was widespread, we know that Neanderthals were getting injured all the time. Early hunters paid the price for their hunting techniques. Nearly every Neanderthal skeleton shows major trauma: broken bones, crushed ribs, and shattered faces. Hunting was personal, and it was
We get
brutal.
messed up out there.
This was likely the case for
So
our
I was
own
just playing
ancestors
Monster
in
Hunter too. Number one rule in Monster Hunter: don't get hit.
Africa when we relied on similar hunting techniques. But at some point, someone, somewhere invented the spear thrower. We don't know exactly when it was invented. Our oldest
whoever
direct
did that was
evidence
on
is
Big
little
Brain.
bone spear throwing hooks from southern France dating back to 20,000 years ago. Evidence from projectile points suggests that the weapon is at least 30,000 years old in Europe. The skeleton of the 43,000-year-old Mungo man from Australia suggests he used a spear thrower his entire life. This would support the idea that the first wave of humans to spread out of Africa brought this weapon with them. I personally think this weapon may have appeared much earlier, maybe
Big
even
brain?
at multiple points in history by multiple species of human. What we do know is that these weapons would spread all over the world with our species and made us the deadliest hunters on the planet. But what exactly makes this weapon so effective? Well, first we have to understand how this weapon actually works in a little more depth. When you throw by hand, your arm can only move so fast. Your shoulder and elbow form a short lever, and the spear leaves your grip as soon as your arm straightens. That limits how much speed you can build before release. The spear thrower changes that completely. It works just like a dog ball thrower, a simple lever that makes your arm longer. Even though your arm speed stays the same, that longer lever multiplies the velocity at the tip. This allows you to throw the dart much faster than you could ever throw by hand. And as they
That's
say,
lethal,
speed
bro.
kills. Prey animals have incredibly fast reflexes. Even large animals like elk are able to get out of the way of an arrow shot by a modern compound bow.
Actually, you could
and
miss.
good luck hitting them with a javelin. A javelin might leave your hand at about 70 feet per second, while a
It'll be
light
like,
dart launched from an atlatl can exceed 130 feet per second.
Damn, that's like
nearly
double.
twice as fast. And because kinetic energy rises with the square of velocity, the dart can hit with up to 4 times the striking energy of a hand-thrown spear. Another advantage of the spear thrower is its accuracy.
Yo,
When a
that
dart is
Atlatl is
thrown,
crazy.
the dart compresses from sudden acceleration, then springs back. This creates a wave-like wobble that travels down the shaft.
Okay.
It stabilizes the dart in flight and just looks really cool in slow motion.
Yeah, it
If
does.
the dart is too stiff, it flies erratically. Too flexible and it wobbles too much. Ancient hunters figured out the perfect balance through trial and error.
That's
And
so
the speed
cool.
and accuracy also lends the weapon to be used at range. The next great advantage of the spear thrower is its ability to be thrown from cover. This is a huge advantage when hunting and ambushing prey. The last great advantage of the spear thrower are the darts. You can easily carry 20
That's
to
so
30
cool.
spear throwing darts, while carrying more than a couple of throwing spears is cumbersome. These darts are also quite easy to make. They are just a thin stick and the fletching is optional. This meant that hunters could bring multiple projectiles on a hunt. And if you were hunting something large like a bison or a mammoth, being able to have extra ammo was everything.
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
Just the chaos
'Cause
alone caused by you and your
If
tribe
you don't
all
come up
throwing
to
spears
smoke,
at
you're gonna
once
have
would
to leave
confused any
empty-handed
animal.
or die.
But the repeated jabs at the vitals while staying safe from distance is what made this weapon so effective, allowing our ancestors to thrive during the last glacial period and probably even making a couple dozen animals extinct along the way. But before we truly put this weapon to the test, I want to show you how you can make a simple one at home. First, you need to find a branch like this. Cut the branch, trim it, and shape the hook. Just like that, your thrower is complete. Now to make the dart, the easiest way is just to get a long, flexible
Man, out
wooden
there in the
dowel from the
woods,
store.
though.
Drill a little divot in the back and make some simple duct tape fletching. And just like that, you have a simple dart.
Dang,
Okay,
yo.
now let's finally put this weapon to the test.
Yo.
I want to see how far I can throw a spear thrower as compared
So
to
is
a
the
javelin.
accuracy like, I imagine the accuracy, since it's like, it's in your hand when you throw it, I imagine the accuracy of it is like similar to if you were to have thrown it.
So first we're
That's
going to throw
scary.
this javelin to see how far we can throw it. Now keep in mind, I'm not an expert at throwing javelin nor spear thrower, so this is all relative, but let's see what I can get.
Dang.
Well, I threw it 66 feet or 22 yards, so that's okay, but now let's compare it to the spear thrower. This is my setup for distance right here. I just have a way longer lever and a pretty light dart with some little sleek fletching. So let's see how far I can throw this.
Okay. Dang, that thing
Well,
disappeared.
with the rangefinder, it says I threw that 65 yards, so that's 195 feet, and I'll put the thing up for
That's
you
like
metric users right there.
3 times.
So yeah, that's like twice as much a distance, more than twice as much, and that's probably pretty accurate for how much farther you can throw a spear thrower than a javelin.
Dang.
We're going to be testing out 3 different stone-tipped weapons on this ballistics.
That might have been the most efficient weapon back in the time. That's why it was a super weapon. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's the most simplistically efficient weapon of that time for sure. It's like the amount of extra, like, range and speed and force that you add just by like a minor change is crazy.
Gel block. The first is this javelin right here with this massive stone point on it. The second is this Atlatl dart with an obsidian point. And the third is this little arrow with a chert tip. All right, we're going to be doing it from pretty close up because I don't want to miss and then risk breaking an arrow. Oh, look at that.
What is
Well, that
that?
shot flew true. We hit right into the lung. Maybe we hit the rib a little bit, but either way, it didn't stop it from penetrating well into
Where did
the
he get
lung.
these
So that
ballistic
would have
tests?
probably been a dead deer right there. We can see quite a bit of blood flow already. All right, now we're going to be testing out the Atlatl with an obsidian-tipped spear. Let's hope I don't miss, because this point might just blow up if it hits the ground. Oh.
Oh,
That one
It missed.
penetrated, but it still missed the mark. Oh, same spot.
I think maybe he's throwing it too close.
Well, we broke our obsidian point, which is unfortunate. Here's the flint point
Dang,
we're
he
going to be
broke it
trying out
anyways.
next. So that was a
It is
great
deeper,
shot
but
right
like
there.
a
We
little bit less
penetrated super
accurate,
far.
right?
We still missed the organ, so we're going to have to go a little bit
Excuse
lower
me.
and to the left.
That's
no.
gone.
Well, I'm going to have to go back to the shop and repair this because that was very unfortunate, but we'll be back and we'll be better. We're going to test
That
this
thing's
dart
gone,
next.
yeah.
Oh, that was it.
Oh,
As you can see, the dart penetrated right between those 2 ribs. Fatal shot right there for sure. Just look at all that blood flow. Oh my goodness. It's gruesome. If we go around to this side, you can see that it did make a hole on the entire other side of the lung.
other
So
side
yeah, that
too,
probably would have
it's
been
gone.
a dead animal, at least within a couple hours, if not, you know, within a couple minutes. So let's pull that dart out and see just how much
They have
damage
to
it
track
caused.
him down.
Oh, look at that. Oh, it's got some membrane from the blood sac in here. Just look at how gruesome that is. The Atlatl, or spear thrower, is deadly. Next, we're going to be testing out this
Now you're trying to
stone-tipped
eat them.
javelin, and I think it's going to be even deadlier than the other 2. Javelins just have so much mass behind them that they really carry it to the target. And considering we're throwing pretty close range, it's going to be devastating. Just look at that blade. I'm going to be throwing it pretty close up because I definitely do not want to miss. Oh, God.
that thing went all the way through, didn't it? Oh no.
Well, that was devastating. We kind of hit the same spot, but either way, the result was death. Just look at that. Penetrated right between the ribs, all the way into the lung. You can't even see that big stone blade. It's fully in there. All right, let's take
No,
the
I feel like
spear
you
out to
should be
see what
backing
happened
up.
here. Oh man, wow! Just look
To
at that
showcase
spear
the
point.
range and
That
give
would
it
have been a
more
dead
time in
animal
the
for
air.
sure. Well, those tests went pretty well. Clearly, these weapons are all super deadly. You know, we got some good shots with each of them. The Atlatl was pretty good. You know, provides a pretty good wound. It doesn't penetrate nearly as deep as, I guess, the javelin or the arrow, but those are for other reasons. Like the javelin,
I think it didn't penetrate as deep. It's because it didn't have like, it didn't have that airtime. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if he would have extended the range of it and used like its full range to pick up speed, it would have performed better. I think it would have performed better because he was doing it up close. So it was basically like, I don't know. Is it like using the same technique in a way as like if you were just throwing it? I feel like, but I don't know.
get a much better throw on target, and the arrow's moving quicker. I think the Atlatl is just as good as either of these weapons, but it's very interesting. But now let's move on to some other tests.
Power.
Next, we're going to be testing both the speed and kinetic energy of the Atlatl. So right there, I have a radar gun, and we're going to record the speed of these darts and then calculate just how much kinetic energy they have. So first, we're going to be throwing this very light dart.
Okay.
It traveled 57 miles an hour, so this is how much kinetic energy it had. Next, we're going to be throwing this much longer and much heavier dart. It traveled 48 miles an hour, so this is how much kinetic energy it had. All right, now we're moving up to an even heavier and longer dart. Oh!
That had a lot of kinetic energy.
Okay. So that went 55 miles an hour, giving us the most kinetic energy we've seen yet. But now we're moving to the heaviest dart yet. That was 43 miles an hour, so I think that has to be the most kinetic energy we've generated today. But now let's compare it to the javelin just to see if the javelin really has more power. Oh, I haven't done the calculations yet, so I don't know which one was more powerful, but I assume the Atlatl dart, I'm not sure.
So here's the data I produced through my testing. As you can see, a medium-heavy dart produced the most kinetic energy for me, while the javelin was surprisingly low energy. However, I will admit that this test wasn't entirely scientific. So let's look at a research paper on the ballistics of the Atlatl by Devin Pettigrew. He tested a variety of light and heavy darts, thrown by a variety of people with experience. The fastest throw he recorded was 84 miles per hour. In comparison, a 55-pound modern recurve bow shot an arrow 101 miles per hour. But since the Atlatl dart is far heavier, in this case it carried 40% more kinetic energy. This was surprising to me, but what I was more interested in was the highest energy throws from heavier darts. The highest energy throw he recorded was from a 195-gram dart moving at 45 miles per hour, reaching 87.9 joules. The only bows to exceed this were Turkish and English war bows exceeding 100 pounds in draw weight. Primitive-style self-bows, like ancient humans would have used, are not able to match a heavy Atlatl dart. His study also referenced another from 1989 which tested replica Clovis culture Atlatl points and spears on elephant carcasses. The study used much heavier darts. They were 465 grams and they were moving at 44 miles per hour, delivering 93 joules of energy. The experiments leave little doubt that Clovis projectile points can inflict lethal wounds on African elephants, and thus supports the idea that Paleo-Indian cultures hunted mammoths. This research proved just how versatile the spear thrower is. Light darts can be thrown nearly as quickly as a bow and arrow, while heavier darts can be extremely high energy. But all of that energy is worthless if you can't get a shot on your prey. So now let's move on to the next test.
Accuracy? Oh, concealment.
So is the spear thrower good from concealment? We're going to test it against the javelin to see how they perform. All right, so I'm going to duck down in this cover, just pretend there's like a horse walking around over there.
I thought it was going to say
accuracy.
accuracy.
Throw the javelin, just completely sitting down in cover. That didn't really work at all. I mean, I threw it a little far, but that definitely wouldn't have killed an animal, and it probably would have just ran off. So now let's go further into the cover and duck down so the horse can't see us. And we're going to stand up and just throw it. We're not going to run with our body at all. You know, hypothetically, that could have hit an animal, but there really wasn't a whole lot of power.
Bad?
So now let's see how it compares to the spear thrower.
We got
all
any
right, so we're
spear
going back
throwers in
into
here?
our cover.
I feel like his technique
Look at
isn't the
that.
greatest.
There's some good power on that. And I'm sitting down. I barely use any of my body. Yeah, the spear thrower really uses a lot more of your arm. You know, you can get some rotation in there,
You get some
definitely
torque
from your
in there.
hips and torso, but that would have probably been a dead animal. And obviously, if we duck down in here, standing up, see a horse, boom. That would have been a dead horse too. So you definitely can throw the spear thrower just standing up without any wind up as well, or without any steps.
must have been eating
definitely,
good then,
I'd say
if
it
that's the
beats out the
case.
javelin in that regard.
Now we are moving on to the last test. What happens when the spear thrower meets a ballistics gel head? Let's find out.
Oof. Using the atl-atl for war?
Now that we have an understanding of just how deadly these weapons were, let's talk more about the history of the spear thrower. Some of the earliest evidence for this weapon actually comes from the rib of a Neanderthal. At Shenandoah Cave in Iraq, archaeologists uncovered a Neanderthal rib which clearly was hit with a stone-tipped spear point. Researchers tested both large Neanderthal-style thrusting spears and lighter darts from a spear thrower to test what created this injury. They found that Neanderthal-style thrust impacted multiple ribs, crushing bone. The lighter darts impacted only one rib, leaving the same characteristic cuts as seen in the Shenandoah rib. The researchers suggest that this Neanderthal was wounded by a spear thrower. And considering this technology is associated with our species, this could be evidence our species had violent encounters with Neanderthals. It is far from rock-solid evidence, but either way, at 45,000 years old, it is the oldest evidence we have of these weapons. Fast forward a few thousand years and our species has spread all over the world.
Is that him in the
bringing our spear throwers with us. Cultures in Europe became absolutely obsessed with the spear thrower. Hooks were carved of bone, antler, and ivory. Some became very elaborate, depicting all kinds of animals including mammoth and bison. One of the most famous depicts a brilliant ibex looking at a bird on its tail. Other spear thrower components have been found like these bone rings which were almost certainly finger loops. The Upper Paleolithic spear thrower was undoubtedly a refined weapon. The woomera, which is an Aboriginal Australian word for the spear thrower, dates back over 10,000 years. As mentioned earlier, Mungo Man showed evidence that he may have used this weapon much of his life. This would prove that the woomera was present in Australia, possibly with the first humans to make it to the region. And when Europeans arrived in Australia, it was documented across much of the continent. The woomera is truly the most unique adaptation of the spear thrower. It is often carved to have a hollow concave form. The Aboriginals would use it to carry around possessions and even as a drinking container.
Oh, it doubles.
The handle was often a ball of spinifex resin, a natural, extremely strong hot melt glue. This served as a grip for the weapon, but also meant they always had glue whenever necessary. Many woomera also had a flake of stone in the handle which served as a knife. This knife could be used to butcher animals and even carve wood. The woomera is truly an ingenious tool.
Yo,
let's move to the other continent.
They said, nah, forget using it for just killing. We're gonna use it for everything. Yo, that was like that might have been the first like omni tool.
That absolutely love this weapon, the Americas. Some of the earliest widespread cultures of North America were likely using this weapon. It is hypothesized that both the Clovis and Folsom cultures used them, and we know for a fact that many archaic period Native American cultures used this weapon. In fact, it is thought that the entire continent was using the spear thrower until around 2,000 years ago. We know this because the stone points used by most of these cultures were far too large to be shot from a bow, and many examples of atl-atls are found, the most famous of which are the basket maker atl-atls that were preserved in dry caves. They feature loops, not unlike the ones from Ice Age Europe. The bow would gradually replace the atl-at in many of these cultures, but it would still be used by some, notably the Aztecs.
The term atl-at comes
from they had
used by some,
the depiction of
notably the Aztecs.
The term atl-at comes directly from Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. 1.7 million people still speak this language today, and they would wince in pain if they heard you say atl-atl or atl-atl. Because just like the name of the language, Nahuatl, you do not pronounce the L at the end of the word as a syllable. So pronounced correctly, the word is atl-at. Now this is still far from perfect, but it's a million times better than atl-atl. Now in reality, you guys can say it.
What was I saying in the beginning of it? Atl-atl? I think I said that. The atl-at.
But I think language is important, and I find it very interesting how this word is correctly pronounced.
And this weapon was very important to the Aztecs. For practical purposes, it was more effective than the often low-power bows made by the Aztecs. With a heavier projectile, it was able to penetrate the quilted cotton armor worn by wealthy soldiers. But most importantly, the atl-at was very culturally significant.
Calling quilted cotton armor is crazy work, considering what you consider weapons. I guess like if it was just stones, maybe it would stop the penetration. I don't know. I don't know how well it actually did, but the atl-at, bro, it wasn't stopping that. Not a lot of stuff was probably stopping that. That could probably pierce the wood and stuff.
And military power. This was in contrast to the bow, which was
that probably pierced the wood and stuff. And maybe it might even be able to. I wonder. it might even be able to pierce some metal stuff, depending on what the tip is made out of. I wouldn't be surprised.
Used by the semi-nomadic tribes of northern Mexico. Aztec gods were often depicted with the atl-atl, thus proving a status weapon for noblemen.
A status
Warriors would
weapon?
carry 3 to 5 darts. They would hurl them in barrages before the lines engaged in close
That's like
combat with their
a
macahuich.
legendary sword or
But now
something.
let's hear from direct Spanish
Diamond sword in
accounts.
Minecraft.
One of the most well-known accounts comes from Hernan Cortez during the siege of Tenochtitlan.
Oh.
As they fought their way across the bridges of the lake city, they were harassed by showers of arrows and light spears. So heavy was the hail of weapons that one chronicler says, the Mexicas furiously hurled their javelins. It was as if a layer of yellow cane was spread over the Spaniards.
Yo.
What the chronicler describes
they
as
gassing?
javelins were actually light spears thrown from a weapon new to the Europeans. Another important account comes from Bernal Diaz. He states, when therefore the attack commenced, a real shower of arrows and stones was poured upon us. The whole ground was immediately
could be
covered with
yapping.
heaps of lances.
We know they're known for, like, I mean, he's probably not gassing in this instance, but, like, I gotta take this with a grain of salt, because you know people from back then love to yap about their, like, conquests and stuff. They love to just, like, just hyperinflate everything and, like, skew the actual history behind it. So I have to take it with a grain of salt.
Whose points were provided with 2 edges, so very sharp that they pierced through every species of cuirass, and were particularly dangerous to the lower part of the body, which was in no way protected. Diaz also states that his breastplate was pierced by a spear at one point, but it is unclear if it's from an atl-atl or an obsidian thrusting spear. This account may have led to the myth that Aztec obsidian points could penetrate Spanish armor, and for the most part this is untrue. Obsidian-tipped weapons simply cannot penetrate through steel. But this does not mean that the Spanish were invulnerable. Many conquistadors couldn't afford full-plate armor and in some instances only had chainmail or cotton jackets. Many wore a jacket of plate armor, though their lower legs were covered in fabric or mail. If an obsidian dart impacted the thigh or neck, quick death would have followed. This is evident in Diaz saying that they were particularly dangerous to the lower body. Another account describes the atl-atl themselves. Their weapons of offense are bows and arrows, and darts which they throw with a machine made of another stick. The tips at the end are of stones, or of strong, sharp fish bone. Some darts have 3 tips, making 3 wounds at a throw, for on one stick they insert 3 very slender and sharp tips. This expands our knowledge of the darts they used. Their darts most often had obsidian tips. Some were made from blades while others were bifacial. I napped a few based on examples I have seen online.
That's so cool.
A handful of atl-atl throwers have actually survived, most often being examples used by elites. I even got to see this gold-plated one when I was in Florence.
Whoa,
they often have
that's
bone
cool.
rings on their handles. I decided to make a recreation of that atl-atl dart with 3 obsidian tips just because it was too cool not to. Imagine getting one of these hurled at you. It helps you understand how the Aztecs rose to power. Unfortunately, we don't have time to test it today.
Like,
you have to wait until I make a full video about Aztec
Okay.
weapons.
or
If
shield.
we get to 10,000 likes, I'll make that video. The Aztec
What video?
atl-atl was a truly extraordinary weapon. It
Hold
wasn't
on,
a
what
pity to
video
wait
did you
until I
say?
make a full video of the power. Unfortunately, we don't have time to test it today. You have to wait until I make a full video about Aztec weapons.
Oh,
If we get to 10,000 likes, I'll make that video. The
Is it at
Aztec
10,000
atl-atl
likes?
was a truly extraordinary weapon.
Oh, it
It
is.
was
So he
an
probably
exception
made.
to the
Oh,
almost total replacement that
So he
occurred
hasn't
when
made it
other
yet 'cause it was 2
populations
days ago.
acquired the bow and arrow. The bow was better than the atl-atl at a number of things, but it wasn't fully superior. The bow is able to shoot arrows about twice the velocity of the atl-atl. It is also able to be fired from full concealment. This made it a better hunting weapon in most cases. And another advantage of the bow is that many more arrows can be carried and they're pretty short and portable. This made it an excellent weapon in warfare, along with its ability to shoot about twice as far. But the bow also has some drawbacks. It is very
Literally.
difficult to create.
Get it? Drawback? Because it's a bow?
The bow. It requires a lot of special knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
Arrows are also much lighter, meaning the projectile points have to be smaller.
Yeah.
These drawbacks pale in comparison to the advantages, hence the replacement in most areas.
Yeah, because they're just
However,
more
the spear throwers
lethal,
survived
huh?
in the Arctic
when they
for
do
throwing
hit.
heavy harpoons into mammals, and as the Australian Woomerat.
Well, not necessarily.
The atl-atl was humanity's first weapon of harpoons into
Hold up,
mammals,
bro.
and as the Australian...
Nah, bro. Whatever was getting hit with that got cleft. That was probably one that they were using to hunt elephants. Or Nah, he said he was Australian. I don't know, but that was like that was like big game hunting right there. That was like a mammoth or something. Cause like there's no way he's using that big of a stick on like a deer.
In Woomera. The atl-atl was humanity's first weapon of mass destruction, a simple stick that helped us conquer the Ice Age. It is a wonderful piece of technology that is truly a joy to practice with. It really does feel
Yeah,
like
it
we're
looks
connecting
fun.
with the people of the past.
All right, thanks for watching. If you want to support content actually made by
Atlatl.
humans, make sure to like, comment,
That's a
subscribe,
dope
and hit that
video,
bell icon
man.
so you're always reminded when we post a new upload.
Appreciate
This has been your
this.
host, North02, and I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci.
Hey, shout out to you, North02, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a sub because that was a dope video. I like that. I want to see the other one too about Aztec weapons. Whenever you make that, that's gonna be dope. But hey, that's gonna be the video. Let me know if y'all liked it down in the comments. Have y'all ever used an atl-atl or seen one or anything like that? Anybody copped one? That'd be lit. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Go ahead and like the video. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.